Welcome to this dosage calculation practice session for injectable medications. In this video, we'll walk through 5 real-world examples using the ratio proportion method to determine the correct medication dose. This video will help reinforce your understanding and accuracy in medication math. Let's get started with the first example. The medication order is Narcan 0.3 milligrams IV stat. The medication supplied is Narcan 0.4 milligrams per milliliter vial. How many milliliters will you administer? Set up your proportion. The first ratio is the medication supplied, 0.4 milligrams per 1 ml. The second ratio is the desired dose, 0.3 milligrams per x mLs. Solve for the number of milliliters by cross-multiplying, 0.4 times x and 0.3 times 1, and that results in 0.4x equals 0.3. Divide both sides by 0.4 to solve for x. X equals 0.75. You would administer 0.75 milliliters of Narcan. Always review your answer to make sure it makes sense. The reverse method is to multiply 0.75 milliliters, the amount to be administered, by 0.4 milligrams per milliliter, the concentration available, which equals 0.3 milligrams, the prescribed dose. Let's complete another calculation. The medication order is digoxin 125 micrograms IV push every AM. The medication supplied is digoxin 0.25 milligrams per milliliter. How much should you administer? When you read the order, you see that the order is to administer digoxin, 125 micrograms, but the medication supplied is digoxin 0.25 milligrams per milliliter. You need to convert the measurement of 125 micrograms of digoxin to milligrams. Multiply the dose you have over 125 micrograms over 1, by the conversion factor of 1 milligram over 1,000 micrograms. 125 divided by 1,000 equals 0.125. The desired dose is converted to 0.125 milligrams. Now you can solve the problem. Set up your proportion. The first ratio is the medication supplied, 0.25 milligrams per 1 ml. The second ratio is the desired dose, 0.125 milligrams per x ml. Solve for the number of milliliters by cross-multiplying, 0.25 times x, 0.125 times 1. This results in 0.25x equals 0.125. Divide both sides by 0.25 to solve for x. X equals 0.5. Administer 0.5 milliliters of digoxin. Always review your answer to make sure it makes sense. The reverse method is to multiply 0.5 milliliters, the amount to be administered, by 0.25 milligrams, the concentration available, which equals 0.125 milligrams, the prescribed dose. Let's complete another example. The medication order is heparin 2,000 units twice daily. The medication supplied is heparin 10,000 units in a 2 milliliter vial. How much should you administer? Now solve the problem. Set up your proportion. The first ratio is the medication supplied, 10,000 units in 2 milliliters. The second ratio is the desired dose, 2,000 units per x ml. Solve for the number of milliliters by cross-multiplying, 10,000 times x and 2,000 times 2. This results in 10,000x equals 4,000. Divide both sides by 10,000 to solve for x. X equals 0.4. You would administer 0.4 milliliters of heparin. Always review your answer to make sure it makes sense. The reverse method is to multiply 0.4 milliliters, the amount to be administered, by 5,000 units per milliliter. 10,000 units per 2 mLs is the same as 5,000 units per 1 ml, the concentration available. And that equals 2,000 units, your prescribed dose. Now, let's calculate another order. The medication order is hydrocortisone, 150 milligrams IV push. The medication supplied is hydrocortisone 100 milligrams in 2 milliliters. How much should you administer? Now solve the problem. Set up your proportion. The first ratio is the medication supplied, 100 milligrams per 2 milliliters. The second ratio is the desired dose, 150 milligrams per X milliliters. Solve for the number of milliliters by cross-multiplying. 100 times X, 150 times 2, and that results in 100X equals 300. Divide both sides by 100 to solve for X. X equals 3. Administer 3 milliliters of hydrocortisone. Always review your answer to make sure it makes sense. The reverse method is to multiply 3 milliliters, the amount to be administered, by 50 milligrams. Hydrocortisone 100 milligrams in 2 milliliters is the same as 50 milligrams in 1 milliliter, the concentration available. And that equals 150 milligrams, the prescribed dose. Now let's calculate another dosage. The medication order is fentanyl 100 micrograms IV push. The medication supplied is fentanyl 0.05 milligrams per milliliters. How much should you administer? When you read the order, you see that the order is to administer fentanyl 100 micrograms, but the medication supplied is fentanyl 0.05 milligrams per milliliter. You need to convert the measurement of 100 micrograms of fentanyl to milligrams that is available. Place the dose you have over 1, 100 micrograms over 1. Multiply by the conversion factor of 1 milligram over 1,000 micrograms. The micrograms canceled out. 100 divided by 1,000 equals 0.1. The desired dose is converted to 0.1 milligrams. Now you can solve the problem. Set up your proportion. The first ratio is the medication supplied, 0.05 milligrams per 1 milliliter. The second ratio is the desired dose, 0.1 milligrams per X mLs. Solve for the number of milliliters by cross-multiplying. 0.05 times X, 0.1 times 1, and the result is 0.05X equals 0.1. Divide both sides by 0.05 to solve for X. X equals 2. Administer 2 milliliters of fentanyl. Always review your answer to make sure it makes sense. The reverse method is to multiply 2 milliliters, the amount to be administered, by 0.05 milligrams, the concentration available, which equals 0.1 milligrams, the prescribed dose. Practice makes precision. Keep on practicing to build your confidence. In the next video, you will find practice problems for heparin calculations utilizing the ratio proportion technique. The more you practice, the more confident you will become. Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful, give it a like, share it with your classmates or coworkers, and subscribe for more nursing education content. You can find more videos at nursevideohub.com. Watch, learn, and care.